Hello, everyone. Welcome to another JDP faculty interview. Today, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Kristina Lizardy-Hajbi. She is Associate Professor of Leadership and Formation, as well as the Director of the Office of Professional Formation at Iliff School of Theology. So to get us started, do you just want to talk a little bit about your current scholarship and areas of academic interest?
Sure. Thank you for having me, David. So I would qualify myself as an interdisciplinary scholar in the study of applied religious studies. So what that means is that I dabble in some various areas, but all related to applied lived religion. So one of the first areas of my own interest and study is in practical theology. So I'm partially a practical theologian, in particular in the areas of contextual education or education more broadly, and leadership and organizational life.
Wow.
So that's one part of my work. The other part is in the sociology of religion as an applied religious researcher. And in particular, I study the life of congregations. Now, both of those areas have divergences and connections with one another. And those connections often coalesce with post-colonial, decolonial, and liberationist perspectives. So I try to study and teach in each the practical theology and the sociology of religion area with post-colonial lens, decolonial lens, and with liberationist frameworks in mind.
That's really cool. I really appreciate the interdisciplinary nature of that research. And I think that actually ties in really well with the next question, which is, about misconceptions and myths within the field of religious studies. Like, do you feel like that being so interdisciplinary sheds light into these areas?
It absolutely does. And one of the misconceptions I would say related to that is that religious studies is solely an academic endeavor that should be about one thing or the study of one thing at the expense of other ways of knowing and other methodologies that might be at play. And so, what I love about the JDP program is the opportunity that students have to engage in interdisciplinary research from a variety of faculty across the board because one might believe that an academic study just involves, going into perhaps maybe biblical studies, sort of focusing in one area or in anthropology of religion in another area. But with our program, there's an ability to meld those in really creative and generative and exciting ways that move forward the field as a whole. So that's one
Yeah.
misconception, right? I think the program itself lends itself to that. The one of the other misconceptions I think uh, people have about religious studies is that it can be done as solely an objective endeavor, that I'm coming in to study an other, and that I, as a human being, am separated from that, and who I am, my own identities, my positionalities are separate and should be separate from the academic or objective study of religion. And I think our program also lends itself in really critical and helpful ways to bust that myth, if you will,
Yeah.
because who we are really does deeply impact what we study and why we study and how we study it. And a recognition of that actually makes our scholarship better.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'll in support of, you know, usurping essentially the white myths of academia and that power
Absolutely.
there. And you already kind of talked about this a little bit, but of how the JDP program itself engages with this interdisciplinary nature. But if there was more you wanted to say on that, or like even work that you've seen people doing within the multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary context of the JDP.
Yeah, I've seen many different projects from students that have been really exciting and enriching, and that often at least in my work, bring together social science research methods
Mm,
with these other perspectives, in looking at biblical texts, or even, how this is played out in lived religious communities, or the ways that, alterity, hybridity, and other sort of concepts in post-colonial and decolonial studies have informed those perspectives. So I think interdisciplinarity is the way that we must function if we are going to study and praxis religion in the
mhm.
21st century. And so learning from one perspective or lens can certainly be enriching, and a doctoral program really grounds you in particular ways, and depending on what you study, an area of
Yeah.
expertise or multiple areas of expertise. But they sometimes rob us of the ability to understand something from multiple perspectives. And I think the JDP gives a good balance to that. And as I said before, the ability to learn from faculty who are very diverse in terms of our methodologies and our areas of expertise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would totally agree with that. And is there, for our very last question here, uh, some favorite part of the JDP program that you really enjoy talking about or engaging with?
My absolute favorite part is working with students. As a teacher, as an educator, seeing students' ideas come together and seeing the creative ways that they are taking material from one class, material from another class, and ideas, mixing it in with their own dissertation topics and passions, and seeing what comes of that in a very creative, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary way is part of the joy of this program and what I get from this program. And it also pushes my own scholarship and learning in ways that I wouldn't even have imagined had I not been engaging with the JDP program and with students as a whole. So I am enriched and learn just as much from students and from my other faculty colleagues in the program as I perhaps might give to students as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for answering that. As a student, obviously, it means a lot to hear that too from one of our faculty members. Uh,
Yes, definitely.
I really appreciate your time today and for talking about these questions. And again, this was Dr. Kristina Lizardy-Hajbi, who is Associate Professor of Leadership and Formation, as well as the Director of the Office of Professional Formation at Iliff School of Theology. I appreciate your time and for being here with me.
Thank you, David. Great to be here.